Okay, so these are the speed hut sensors, and these are a couple of adapters that I ordered from Amazon to try to adapt them to the Porsche. I believe the oil pressure sending units, which is this guy right here, both of these are 1/8 NPT threads on the speed hut side. The Porsche for the oil pressure sending unit is, I want to say, an M18 by 1.5. And then the water temperature sending unit here is an M14 by 1.5. So we need to go from Porsche to Speed Hut via these adapters. So the oil pressure sending unit here works great. So this adapter works, threads in perfectly, and so we just need to go to the car and make sure that this adapter will thread into the block nicely. And as far as I am concerned, this is going to be just fine. Unfortunately, for the temperature sender, there's a little collar inside this fitting, and I don't know why, because if it wasn't there, then this would fit perfectly all the way in and thread in, but it just doesn't. So I'm going to need to make a decision here. Either I just return this fitting and try to buy a different one from somewhere else, or I can take a drill bit and just ream this out just enough to fit this temperature probe. This little line right here on the temperature probe, everything forward to the end of this is trimmable, so you could trim this to get it to fit into whatever application that you need, but you don't want to trim past this line. So that remains to be seen if that's going to be necessary to get this into the car. I'll harness this out real quick for you guys. You can see that the harnesses basically just have adapters that will plug into the back of the gauge. That's it. This is what plugs into the gauge, and that's it. So there's a specific port. It's listed in the instructions where each one should go. The temperature probe is only going to have 2 wires coming out of it, and it will have the blue connector on it. Pressure probe is going to have the purple with the 3. So no way to mix those up. And then the only other sensing unit that we need to run into the car is going to be for the fuel level, but we're going to tap into one of the factory connectors for that. So without further ado, let's cut over to the back of the gauges and take a look at some of that wiring. This video off from here, I was literally about to sit down and cable manage this, and so I decided to open up all the boxes, and wouldn't you know it, in the one box I don't open is Wago connectors that Speed Hut provided so that I could neaten all this up. And so basically all you gotta do is just insert all the red wires in there, all the black wires in there, and all the white wires in there, and then have the outputs coming out of one of these Wagos. So these are just basically tiny little bus bars, and I could put these anywhere. I'm kind of messing around with ideas of placement for where to put these all. But yeah, how convenient is that? They also include extra wires so you can make your own outputs, and spade connectors, and a whole host of other things. Inline fuse holder, crimps. That is awesome. That is above and beyond right there. And they even have instructions for how to get all this set up. So that's just, man, that is so awesome. This is really going to help me out with all of this right here, getting all the powers and grounds, not just for the lighting, but for my warning lights too. I'll be able to wire all these up. So Speed Hut, thank you so much for doing this. Well worth every penny at this point. I am so stoked. So I'm gonna go ahead, and next time you see this, this is gonna look amazing. So that's much better. We got a lot of the wiring cleaned up. All the power, all the ground, and all the gauge lighting power is set and is ready to go. So now I think what I'll do is, I don't know if I'm going to start connecting some of the other stuff up to the ports. I might just wait to do that. But for the time being, maybe I'll just run another test in the car real fast. Make sure all this is electrically good. Since we've been down here, but here you go. So I just wanted to give you a quick comparison of what's coming out and what's going in. So we've got oil pressure sending in right there, and then this is what we're replacing in the car. We're replacing these, like old, cracked. See if we can get a good shot of that right there. See this pinched wire? Pinched, dirty, exposed, gone. Yuck, ew. Getting rid of that sender to a nice, insulated, protected, fancy-pantsy connector. So, as Seagrams likes to say, the future is now, old man. So, this is probably the most pain in the butt wire to run. But this is run, it's run in the factory location, so it goes up, tucks in between the water pump and the oil cooler housing, and then comes up on the car through the stock location behind the timing belt cover. Let's zoom out for a second here. Oops. Right through there. Runs all the way up, and then now I have the whole wire up here to mess with. And so I'm kind of thinking a couple things. Initially, I think in one of the clips I was talking about going through there. Why go all the way that way just to go up the dash and then back this way when there's a main harness connector right here? So only thing that makes me concerned is like rain and all that stuff is supposed to get in there. So I don't know if I can figure out a way to pop through there and make it weather tight, then I'll be happy. Or maybe go in through somewhere here. It's a lot of leaves in there. I need to clean up those leaves. But for right now, that's just the main thing that I wanted to do. One thing that sucks that I probably should have done is just put, I don't know if like a Ziploc bag or just some sort of little protector on here. Come on, focus. It's not going to focus. This got a little dirty while I was making the run, but just some contact cleaner kind of helped clean everything out. There we go. So this should be okay, but before I actually connect it to the back of the gauge, obviously if you're doing this yourself, you want to make sure that the connector is clean. So we're going to make sure that this is clean. Everything is now insulated and protected. We're going to run it on the cool side of the engine versus the super hot right next to the headers side of the engine, and hopefully that wiring will be good for decades to come. So I'm not sure entirely how I'm going to do it yet. I might just run, I don't think it'll be necessary to run it underneath the intake. It's already pretty busy there, so I can just go into the bottom here underneath the motor mount, up, over, and kind of in. That's what I'm thinking. And so we'll see how this water temperature sensor is going to play out, but I might just do the same thing with this guy. I might just have this go straight from out here up, over, and in. So, or back, up, over, and in over by the fuse panel. So that's just kind of that's what I'm thinking at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and just, I think I'm going to leave that other wire out of the way for right now until the adapter's all plugged in and stuff, just because I need wiring out of my way. But what I can do is, since this is all together, I can get back down there and unplug the oil pressure sending unit and then get this one plugged in. I think I'm going to run some Teflon tape on these threads as well, so I might need to go pick some of that up. But that's just kind of the plan for right now. So yeah, making some progress. Okay, so we've got the old oil pressure sending unit out, and the new one is already installed. I didn't film throwing the Teflon tape on the adapter and then assembling the sending unit into the adapter again, because that's just really all it was. And the main thing is I just wanted to make sure that I did a good job and actually focused on the task at hand to make sure I didn't screw up the threads or screw up the tape. One thing to note, so the reason why you can't throw Teflon tape on the existing senders, because these tend to leak all the time, and so it's part of why I'm kind of excited to be doing this. The signals require these sensors to be grounded through the engine block, but because we're going to be running separate grounds up into the dash, we don't have to worry about that anymore. So we can actually Teflon tape some of these connections, and that way we're not risking cracking the oil cooler housing or over threading or blowing out the threads, and hopefully just mitigate another source that ends up leaking after 40 years. So that's another benefit to doing this whole thing. But Yeah, so on that note, walk over to the car. I'm about to show you the sending unit right now. Just another tip, if you're going to do this, make sure you have an oil catch can underneath there, because you are going to spill a little bit of oil when you pull the sending unit out. Not a ton, but enough to make a mess, to be annoying. So just be prepared for that. I didn't need to take the belly pan off, and I didn't need to remove anything. All I had to do was just lift the car up to give myself enough space to work. And so let's go ahead and hop down here and take a look at the new sending unit with the wiring connected. And you can see where it goes and how it all fits. So there it is. New sending unit, new plug, adapted, fits right in. Moving back up to the top side of the car. Like I said before, the new wire is just routed the same exact way that the old one was, behind the timing belt cover and tucked between the water pump and underneath the cam gear. And I spent a lot of time thinking about where to run this wire, how I was going to run it, and had my friend Logan kind of help me out. We just sort of brainstorm stuff. My initial thinking was, like I said before, I was going to go over there. And then I really want to stay away from the speed and reference sensor area. Don't want to mess with that. Thought about maybe deleting the cruise control, then going up through here, but it's going to be underneath the dash above the gas pedal, and you have to get on your back. And I left that behind with the old car, so I don't feel like crawling up on my back every time I need to do maintenance or potentially unplug a wire. So we were just thinking about stuff. I don't really want to drill through the firewall. I don't want to drill into stuff. And we just kind of sat there and talked about it. And I realized, he pointed out, like, there's already screws right here on this top side. And there's this weather gasket that's going to keep everything weatherproof. So what's the harm in just poking a couple holes, maybe 2 holes here, to run all of our sensor wiring up through here? And then it was just a matter of, well, how the hell are we going to get it into the car? And just by pure luck, sat there just kind of checking stuff out, pulled all the gauges out. There's a rubber grommet that sits just underneath the wiper linkage arms, and it feeds right into the engine bay. So pull that rubber grommet out, and there's an access port right into the engine bay. And it goes straight behind the dash cluster. So how perfect is that? We're going to be out of the way from everything. We should be weatherproofed, protected from any water, should be insulated, all that other kind of stuff. So here is the master plan now to connect everything firewall forward into behind the gauge cluster. We're going to run all of that wiring that's necessary, everything for the gauges as far as like the turn signals, the ignition coil, and now these pressure sensor wires. We have a path to get into the car. And this is how I've been running my math ever since I did this job, and it's been working fine, but obviously it's not the best. I just kind of did the same thing. I just sort of tucked it up there because I didn't really want to drill into the hole or drill anywhere in here, but Porsche already did it. So what I'm going to do is just that. We're going to find a way to route this wire in here. Since we're doing all this, I'll redo that blade fuse connector, solder in a new connection or plug in a new connection. No big deal there. And then we're going to, because of the size of that hole, I'll probably end up depinning the coolant temperature sensor harness, because that one only has 2 wires on it, just a ground and then the sensor wire. So I'll depin that one. I'll run this first. These plugs will fit through that hole, but when one wire is in there, it's going to be kind of tight to fit the other plug. So I'm just going to depin that plug real fast. I'll run the wiring through all this smaller, thinner gauge wire, repin it, and then everything will go straight into the back of the harness and is detachable from those ports on the back of the gauges just by unplugging the PCIe connectors. So it's going to be that easy. We should have plenty of slack to, if any maintenance things need to happen, pull the cluster forward, unclip certain wiring like the the tachometer signal, the coolant sensor, the oil pressure, whatever, all that kind of stuff can just unplug, be kept in there. It'll be neat and tidy, and we'll have full access with only having to make 2 incisions right here somewhere along the firewall. And everything, like I said, should be pretty protected from the rain. I mean, we have weather stripping right here that's going to keep all of this dry. And then this hole, you can't even see it from underneath here, but it's actually under the wiper linkage arms. And when everything is pulled taut, it should not interfere with the wiper linkage arms in any way at all. I don't anticipate it doing that. So the next step is just going to be getting the coolant temperature sensor adapted, and then that is it. From that point forward, it's just full assembly mode and then going into the gauge cluster harness itself. And then when this is done, I can get the air box in, I can put all this stuff back together, and then I can start running the car, letting it charge, and checking for leaks, etc. I'll start doing all that other kind of stuff. So I think that's where I'm going to leave this video off now. And then when we come back, all the engine bay and firewall forward will be done. The only thing left to do is going to be wiring in the leftover sensors into the actual gauge harness plugs for the factory stuff. That will, be the warning lights and the fuel level sending unit and all that other kind of stuff. The only wiring that I'm not going to show on camera is just literally piggybacking off of one of these turn signals on each side for the DRL. It's just going to run, everything is going to run the same way up through that firewall. Maybe this one will bring on this side, up from the front, up through the firewall, and then same thing for the ignition coil. I just need to tap that yellow wire into here and go up there. But I want to do the rest of this stuff because it's super easy once we sort out the coolant temperature sensor. So wiring, and more wiring is the theme of this video, but we're getting somewhere, and I'm pretty confident with how this is all going to turn out. So next video, I'm hoping that we'll come back with the engine already put back together, and then I'll just show you how it's all done, and we'll go through and I'll show you before I install the gauge cluster back in. We'll start off the next video here, and you can see all the wiring coming through. And my goal is actually, when it's all put back together, you won't have any idea that anything is tampered with. You won't see any wires anywhere. And if I just pop the hood, you'd think that it was completely stock, aside from, my blue hoses. So that's kind of the idea here. We're going to try to keep as much of this as hidden out of the way as possible. So with that, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.